Hi everybody, we're talking renovations today. So we've been busy with renovations at our home and repair work for the past few months. And actually the plot next to us, they're building as well. So I thought to share a little bit about my recent distractions and irritations in this chaotic world that you call building sites. If you think of your sensory perspective on working and living on what basically can be seen as a building site, or let's call it a renovation site. Firstly, for me, with my sense of hearing that's got low thresholds, which means I'm an auditory root, I don't cope too well with too much noise. Now, if you think typically on a building site, I'm just calling it a building site, I'm sure you understand because it does feel like one. There's so much noise. It's a lot of people that's in your space, so you can't drown out the sounds all the time. Also, there's a lot of organizations and things that you need to arrange. So your phone is ringing constantly and you need to answer. You can't just switch it off. It's important stuff that needs to be arranged. But also, if you think of all the tools and the machinery that gets used, the grinder, the jackhammer, it just gets a bit too much. And I think that's for everybody. I'm pretty sure there's no one that's going to put their hand up and say, oh, yes, please give me more noise from a jackhammer. So from a sensory perspective, yes, we do find that you get into overload much easily on a building site because of your sense of hearing. But then also if you think with your sense of sight, there's more clutter. Your things aren't organized because you have to move things around, especially if you are renovating and you're still living and, like me, working in that home, in that space. So things aren't where they usually are. For me, as a low root, that does throw me off quite a bit or quite easily because things aren't as organized as I'm used to them. It's not always in the place where you're looking for it. And then also when you have to make when you have options and you've got to make choices like color of paint, like tiles, those kind of things, although it's a lot of fun and it's really something nice to go through, if your visual system has low thresholds like mine, then you very easily get overloaded and you get to a point where it's just too much information and you can't really cope with much more. The last sense I just want to touch on when it comes to renovations and repair work is your sense of touch. Most of the renovations inside our home is finished now, but I remember how that constant feeling of sand under your feet, that constant feeling of mud and dirt and dust under your nails, how for someone who's got low thresholds, it really does send you into that state of overload much easier. Again, I'm sure everybody, whether you've got low threshold, high thresholds, or medium thresholds, do find that in this type of scenario, you do get overloaded quite easily. But I do believe that if you've got high thresholds, you might be able to cope with it for a longer period of time before you go into overload, where for people with low thresholds, it very easily puts you into that overload state. And I think the rest of my team can vouch for that for the past few months, I would much quicker say, guys, I need a 5-minute break. Let's just call it a bit of a timeout for now. So yeah, that's that for today's Sensory Stories. See you next time. Bye-bye.